Why did Penelope test Odysseus? The bed trick explained. Warning! This video contains spoilers for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, along with discussion of Homer's Odyssey and one of the most brilliant scenes in Greek mythology. If you're avoiding spoilers, this is your warning. Now, let's explain. Imagine waiting 20 years for the love of your life. You don't know if they're alive. You don't know if they're ever coming home. Everyone around you tells you they're dead. More than 100 powerful men invade your home, demanding that you marry one of them. Your son grows up without a father. Your kingdom slowly falls apart. Then, one day, a stranger appears. He claims to be your husband. Would you believe him immediately? Most people probably would. After all, the nightmare is finally over. But Penelope doesn't. Instead of embracing Odysseus, she does something completely unexpected. She gives him one final test. She calmly asks her servant to move their marriage bed. At first, it sounds like an ordinary request. But the moment Odysseus hears those words, everything changes. His reaction proves who he really is. That simple conversation has become one of the greatest moments in all of literature. It isn't just a clever trick. It's the perfect ending to one of history's greatest love stories. So why did Penelope test Odysseus? Didn't she recognize him? Or was the famous bed trick about something much deeper? Let's explain. 20 years had changed everything. To understand Penelope's decision, we first need to understand what she had endured. When Odysseus left Ithaca for the Trojan War, Telemachus was still a baby. Neither Penelope nor Odysseus imagined they would spend the next 20 years apart. The Trojan War lasted 10 years. Then Odysseus spent another 10 years fighting storms, monsters, angry gods, and impossible challenges on his journey home. Back in Ithaca, Penelope had no idea where he was. She received no messages, no letters, no proof that he was still alive. Every morning she woke up hoping for good news. Every evening she went to sleep disappointed. Years passed. Hope became harder to hold on to. Yet she never completely gave up. That alone makes Penelope one of the strongest characters in Greek mythology, surrounded by enemies. While Odysseus battled monsters across the sea, Penelope faced a different kind of danger. More than 100 suitors occupied the royal palace. Officially, they wanted to marry the queen. In reality, they wanted the throne of Ithaca. They believed Odysseus was dead. Whoever married Penelope would become the next king. The suitors lived inside the palace. They ate Odysseus's food, drank his wine, spent his wealth, insulted Telemachus. Some even plotted to murder him. Every day Penelope was forced to smile politely while protecting her family from men who wanted to take everything she loved. Living in that environment taught her one important lesson: never trust appearances. Why she didn't recognize Odysseus? Many viewers ask the same question. If Penelope loved Odysseus so deeply, why didn't she recognize him immediately? The answer is actually very simple. When Odysseus first returned to Ithaca, Athena disguised him as an old beggar. His clothes were dirty. His face looked older. His body carried the scars of 20 years of war and hardship. Even after his true identity began to emerge, Penelope remained cautious. Think about it. 20 years had passed. Anyone could claim to be the missing king. If she accepted the wrong man, she would lose everything. She needed certainty. Not hope. Not emotion. The truth. The famous bed trick. So Penelope came up with one final test. Without explaining her plan, she calmly turned to one of her servants. Then she said something that completely surprised everyone. She ordered the servant to move her marriage bed out of the bedroom. To everyone else, it sounded like an ordinary request. But Odysseus immediately reacted. He became upset. He insisted that moving the bed was impossible. Then he explained why. Years before leaving for Troy, Odysseus had built the bed himself. Instead of making an ordinary wooden bed, he constructed it around the trunk of a living olive tree growing inside the palace. The roots remained deep beneath the ground. The tree became part of the foundation of the room. The bed wasn't something that could simply be picked up and carried away. Moving it would mean cutting down the tree itself. Only one person in the world knew every detail of how that bed had been built: the man who built it. The moment Odysseus revealed that secret, Penelope finally knew. The stranger standing before her wasn't pretending. He really was her husband. Why the bed was so special? The famous bed wasn't simply a piece of furniture. It represented their entire marriage. In ancient Greece, the olive tree symbolized peace, wisdom, endurance, and lasting strength. By building their marriage bed around a living olive tree, Odysseus created something unique. Their marriage literally had roots. It couldn't easily be moved. It couldn't simply be replaced. Just like their relationship, for 20 years storms had battered their lives. Wars had been fought. Kingdoms had changed. But the foundation of their love remained exactly where it had always been. That's why the bed becomes one of the greatest symbols in all of Greek literature. Penelope was testing his heart. Many people believe Penelope was simply testing Odysseus' memory. But the bed trick goes much deeper than that. She wasn't asking him to remember an object. She wanted to know whether the man standing before her truly shared the life they had built together. The bed represented memories no stranger could invent. Only the real Odysseus would respond emotionally. Only the real Odysseus would immediately know why moving it was impossible. His reaction wasn't rehearsed. It came straight from the heart. That genuine emotion convinced Penelope more than any words ever could. Penelope was just as clever as Odysseus. One reason this scene is so satisfying is because Penelope finally proves she is every bit as intelligent as her husband. Throughout the Odyssey, Odysseus survives through cleverness. He escapes the Cyclops with a trick. He outsmarts enemies again and again. Penelope does exactly the same thing. She delays the suitors by weaving a burial shroud during the day and secretly unraveling it every night. She protects Telemachus. She preserves the kingdom for 20 years. And when Odysseus returns, she refuses to let emotion cloud her judgment. Instead, she uses intelligence. In many ways, the bed trick is Penelope's greatest victory. It reminds us that while Odysseus fought monsters across the sea, Penelope fought a different kind of battle at home. Both survived because they were clever, not simply because they were brave. Christopher Nolan's emotional interpretation. Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey transforms this famous scene into one of the film's emotional highlights. Instead of rushing through the reunion, the movie allows every pause to matter. Every glance between Odysseus and Penelope carries years of longing. The silence becomes just as important as the dialogue. After Penelope earlier tells Telemachus, "I want Odysseus," this moment becomes the answer to that wish. She isn't simply welcoming her husband home. She is making absolutely certain that the man standing before her is the one she has spent 20 years waiting for. The result is one of the most beautiful reunions in modern cinema. Why this scene has lasted for thousands of years. The bed trick has survived for nearly 3,000 years because it feels incredibly human. Love alone isn't enough. Trust matters too. After 20 years of separation, Penelope doesn't ask Odysseus where he's been. She doesn't ask about monsters. She doesn't ask about the war. She asks a question only her husband can answer. That makes their reunion feel authentic. It's built on shared memories rather than dramatic speeches. The greatest proof of love isn't saying the right words. It's remembering the life you built together. So, why did Penelope test Odysseus? Because after 20 years of uncertainty, heartbreak, and deception, she needed proof that the impossible had finally happened. The famous bed trick wasn't about doubt. It was about certainty. The olive tree bed symbolized a marriage with roots so deep that not even time, war, or distance could destroy it. When Odysseus revealed the secret only he could know, Penelope finally allowed herself to believe that her long wait was over. It's one of the most brilliant and emotional endings ever written, reminding us that the strongest relationships aren't built on grand gestures. They're built on trust, shared memories, and a love that remains unshaken no matter how many years pass. What do you think? Was Penelope right to test Odysseus after 20 years, or would you have recognized him immediately? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more The Odyssey explainers, Greek mythology stories, movie breakdowns, hidden details, and entertainment news. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.